Now, in the spirit of thinking a little bit differently, consider this. The game is 60 minutes, as we know. If we assume teams are sharing possession 50%, which is generally what happens in international hockey, if players are sharing possession, you get to this number of 112 seconds where players are theoretically in contact with the ball. Sounds pretty simplistic, of course. So I wanted to test that through a few games at the Olympics this year. So I watched 3 big games, 3 big players in each game. Christopher Rua against Argentina in the quarterfinal was 98 seconds on the ball. Aaron Zalewski in the final against Belgium was 110 seconds on the ball. And Arthur Van Doren in the semi-final against India was 119 seconds on the ball.
Wow.
The amount of time players spend on a ball will change from game to game due to a number of factors. But even if there's just little variations, there's still a huge amount of the game, and let's call it 97% for the purpose of the talk, where players are in off-ball actions.
So let's look at these essential components that every hit has, and it's all pretty obvious. We need a player, so we need a body, we need a stick, and obviously we need a ball. And what we're looking to do is combine all of those things so that the ball goes where we want it to go. The trouble, of course, is, though, that each of these components brings their own potential problems. So if we look at any problems that might include the grip or footwork or how the body rotates or something like that, just 5 of those problems combined with 5 problems with grip, the face of the stick or where the ball is, and another 5 with which side of the ball we hit, etc., all of that sort of stuff, then suddenly you've got 125 different ways that we could get this wrong, and we just want the one way to get it right.
Here's a good example of, in my opinion, about old paradigm and new paradigm of principles. And for example, here we can see, if we go to the first one, we can see a situation where we have 4 orange defenders, 3 midfielders, and 3 strikers. So this is a kind of 4-3-3 system. But then on the second row, you can see a 3-4-3, and in the third row you can see a 4-4-2. And if you really see this, for example, 4-4-2, you can say, yes, this is a 4-4-2, but actually the situation is that all the circles are all the time in the same position. I mean, nothing is really changing. It's just the way you, as coach, you interpretate the reality. If you interpret the reality in a way of 4-3-3, you always see 4-3-3. If you do it 3-4-3, you see 3-4-3. So that gives, for me, the insight that the systems are not really useful, no longer useful, in my opinion, because systems are based on precisely the old paradigm of coaching, where players have a specific role and they have to do this because you're playing left defender and left defender. So if we go, I think if we go towards the future, in the future we will have principles, and we have like multifunctional players that they can play at the back and they can go in the center or play on the width, blah blah blah. So, but more dynamic situation. So just if you are one of these coaches that really thinks a lot about systems and 5 different systems and positioning and really love to put things on your board and move, okay, then my recommendation, if I can, is that you leave your board a little bit aside and try to work more on principles.
Like, I've always come from a kind of a zonal background. I like playing with a set structure and a set shape. And the reason why I do that is so that when we win possession of the ball, I know what shape we're in, that we can then redesign our attack. So one of the downsides of playing man-to-man is that manipulation factor. If you've got a striker marking a key defender, you can run that striker into a position where if you lose the ball, they're not going to be able to commit in their attack anyhow. So there's too much manipulation done from just pure man-to-man stuff. So yeah, I've always had similar shapes. The diamond has been an interesting one that's quite European. I haven't always adopted that. I've bought into that as a possible defensive shape, that it has its weaknesses for sure. I think every team in the world internationally knows those weaknesses, but also has some strengths about it as well. So but I've always worked on some sort of zonal structure as my base.
Example, Pro League game, Belgium against Australia. Okay, we make a mistake, we miss the ball. Okay, at this point there's a breakdown. Okay, we make a really big mistake in our press. Now we have to switch to almost transition mode defense. We need to slow them down. Look at that diamond, very good. Okay, and I really like this image from this camera, because you can see at this moment in particular how you have that diamond in a perfect position. Okay, top player, left foot player, right foot player, safety. Okay, it's really clear and looks, imagine this is the view from the player, no? The player is looking at this exactly. You don't see anywhere you can go. You can keep going forward. So it's a really good defense. The Australian player has to go back, and the breakdown is over. It's a new situation. We have more numbers, and the fast attack, it's over. So I think it's a really, really successful diamond in this case. Another example. This is Australia against Great Britain. Okay, there's a breakdown in the attack. We should go to diamond mode. Look at this defense. It's not the best one for sure. Okay, there's a guy outside, so he's going to defend the outside. This guy should be defending the hot line. He's a bit moved, so it's not a good position. We can talk about the diamond, of course. In any kind of defense, this guy cannot be alone there. But if we look at it with the diamond view, the diamond lens, like we said, if you are in this position, it's impossible that they go forward, and they have to go to the outside. And as I said before, going outside is a longer path to get to the goal, and that means more time for us to reposition. And also, of course, going outside is less risky for us than if they go through a center. Okay, so it's not a good defense. We are in bad positions. Very easy goal for Australia. Okay, of course, a really, really nice first touch slap to finish it. But, okay, we cannot defend like this. Why? Priority always, protect the center, protect our hot line.
I could be showing my age here, Billy. My answer is a really simple one. It's getting young players to really value and enjoying defense. I think with the advent of social media and the way that sport is televised, we put a huge amount of time and energy, showing footage of people doing silky stuff on the ball, which I find it equally attractive. You don't see reams and reams of social media clips of someone positioning brilliantly in space and time, taking up a great defensive line, managing 2 or 3 players as one person, and then making incredibly skillful intercepts or incredibly skillful defensive actions. We don't place a huge amount of value in that in our modern society. So the greatest mental challenge I come across with young players is them valuing defense and understanding the skill of defense. And it is as skillful as the tricky stuff we can see in possession of the ball. It's sometimes not as obvious. So some of the best defenders don't do a lot of tackling because they've positioned themselves in space and time so well that they've managed the threat just the way they've positioned themselves. So that for me has been the biggest mental challenge. There is an aspect of some courage, because sometimes players are having to get low, put their hands low to the ground, and sometimes you can get a painful whack on the hands, and that you get that once or twice. You can be really reticent to do that. In large part, that's because technically we haven't got into the good body shapes, and the line of angles being poor. So it has to be coached well from a young age. But I hope that answered that question, Billy.